You like Huey Lewis in the news? What's up, guys? Today, I'll be reviewing American Psycho. This movie is directed by Mary Harron. It stars Christian Bale as Patrick Bateman. Now, first off, I don't really know how to talk about this movie. I guess I'll talk about how I was first introduced to this. I watched back in like 2014, 2015. I watched a lot of Chris Stuckman and the Flick Pick, like basically a lot of movie channels, and they would always, at some point, they would always bring up American Psycho, and that's how I've heard about the movie. I've always around that time I've heard about the movie without actually seeing it, which was really good because the movie's a messed up movie, and I watched it at the right time. But there was always talk about American Psycho. That's how I've heard about the movie, and I've seen the memes of American Psycho. Yeah, you like if you know about memes, you've definitely seen American Psycho memes all the time, and I've seen the scene where I've seen the scene. It's kind of a weird thing, but I've watched the scene where it's the Huey Lewis in the news scene. You know what I'm talking about. If you've seen the movie, you know exactly what I'm talking about. I've seen that scene on YouTube because that scene's a meme in and of itself. So, yeah. But recently I've watched the movie about a month ago, I think. And it's one of my favorite movies right now. Something about it just like I don't know. It's a movie that I'm gonna watch like time and time again. Like the best way I could describe to this is like one of the first movies I got into when I was younger was Toy Story. Like this movie is the Toy Story of my adulthood, essentially. Now, that sounds really bad now that I think about it. Like this movie, like it's a classic. It is a modern day classic. And so with the way the movie's shot too and everything, like the direction, everything, the setting, Christian Bale's acting, the acting in this movie is perfection. Christian Bale is Patrick Bateman, obviously the standout of this movie. He brings so much to the character. Like he had so much, and the fact that Christian Bale was only 25 when he did this role, he feels much older in this movie when watching it. Like he almost looks like he's in his 30s in this movie when like no, he was in his mid 20s when he was making this movie. And that's insane to me. Like he did a lot for this role. And that's what I respect. And like I've heard like he actually kept his American accent during filming for this movie, like off set and everything, which is really cool. And so yeah, Christian Bale just does such a good job as Patrick Bateman. Like the way he got buff for this movie, and like the way he talks too is kind of funny too. Like the way and like some of the lines he says, like I'm trying to think of some right now from the top of my head. And the card scene, the business card scene, this is one of the funniest scenes in any movie in particular. And just like just Christian Bale just looking around, just be like, impressive, very nice. Let's see Paul Allen's card. Just that stuff. And then like at the part where like he looks at Paul Allen's card and he goes, look at that off-center coloring. You could taste the thickness of it. Oh my God. It even has a watermark. It's just like, it's hilarious. And just the Huey Lewis in the news scene is always hilarious. Just hearing Christian Bale talking and like Jared Leto just drunk in that scene. Just amazing. And I also love the fact that this movie takes place in the 1980s. Like this is a movie that should take place in the 1980s, and with the setting and everything, it definitely deserves a 1980s spot. And if you guys know me, you know I'm such an 80s guy. Like I would love to be in the 80s. Like I was born in the early 2000s, but deep down I wish I was an 80s kid because like I freaking love the 80s so much. Most of my favorite bands are from the 80s, and so this movie gets a plus for that because it takes place in the 80s. But I know this movie isn't for everybody. Like there's some stuff in this movie that I feel like a lot of people would not like. And if you're one of those people, that's fine. I understand. This movie isn't for everybody. For some reason this movie's for me. I don't know how it is. I don't know. It's probably because of the memes. Now that I think about it, it's probably because of the memes. But it's a very well written movie, very well acted, and just I like it. And so, but yeah, there's definitely some scenes that are very disturbing that I'm not gonna lie. When I first watched it, I was terrified. But yeah, there's definitely those scenes to keep in mind. There's definitely some messed up scenes. There's a scene of Patrick Bateman running around naked with a chainsaw in an apartment complex. So that's the movie you're going into if you haven't seen this movie. Now, this movie, I won't contain any spoilers, but I will talk about the ending for a little bit. I'm not gonna give anything away, but I think the ending, it's the Flick said this too, but it's open for interpretation. That's what I think. With the ending, I think what happens is like this is like Patrick Bateman. He's a messed up man, and this is how you figure out what he is at the end of the movie. This is nothing's gonna change. That's what I think when I watch the movie at that end particular. But that was pretty much what I had in mind when I saw the movie. I think some of the things that happened in the movie that were like too crazy. I don't think that stuff actually happened, but there are some things that I think actually happened in the movie. There's some things that happen in the movie that I felt like was a little bit out of place. Like there's some characters that I would have taken out in the film, specifically Lewis. I think, but even though there's a scene with Lewis that is really hilarious, that some of you guys know what I'm talking about. There's a scene that's really hilarious with that, and yeah, I think Lewis was kind of a weird character, and some of the side characters too. Some of the Justin Theroux's character, I think that's how you say his Justin's last name. I'm not really sure what he was doing. He didn't really have a place in the movie. I mean, he was definitely a coworker of Patrick Bateman, but like he didn't really do that much, I don't think. But I feel like that was the point. I'll have to watch it again at some point. But yeah, it's American Psycho. It's a good movie. What else can I say? This movie gets an A+. Watch it if you can, but if you don't want to watch it, understand that. Hope you all enjoyed this review. Hopefully I explained in a very good way my thoughts on American Psycho. Hope you all enjoyed. Like, subscribe if you're new. Now, if you excuse me, I have to return some videotapes.